You have questions? We have answers. Welcome to the Therapist Question Box with your host, Miss Lindsay Schiss.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Therapist Question Box. We are here to answer your questions. Anything related to therapy, relationships, or frankly, anything that you have a question about, we want to discuss. Today, I'm here with Amanda Heaton, a therapist at Therapy Utah. Amanda, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am born and raised in Utah, so love it here, love the mountains, and I love being a therapist. So I am a marriage and family therapist at Therapy Utah. Love working with couples, relationships, and trauma. So
Nice. I love it. And Amanda is a guru when it comes to ART, and it is called Accelerated Resolution Therapy, and she's kind of our resident expert. So Amanda's awesome. She has a wealth of knowledge and a friend. So happy to have you here. So today we're going to be talking about relationships and why we hurt each other in relationships, even when we don't mean to, right? And what we're hoping to understand is why this happens and how we can break the cycle and build healthier connections. So we'll just launch right into the question and then we'll get started. The question is, my partner and I love each other, but we keep falling into the same cycle of hurt, misunderstandings, sarcastic comments, or shutting down. We don't want to hurt each other, but it just keeps happening. Why do we do this and how do we stop? First of all, I just want to say I just appreciate the vulnerability and the courage of this question. This is a hard one, and I appreciate the listener just saying, why do we keep doing this? Obviously, there's some frustration around this. So Amanda, here's the first question I would ask. Why do we hurt people that we love the most?
such a good question, right? Why do we do that? I think, Lindsay, it really comes down to, I don't think, for the most part, we intentionally try to hurt the people that we love. But it happens, and you can hear that in this listener's voice, that she is concerned about why do I hurt the people that I love?
Yeah, I love her honesty. Like, why do I do it? I mean, that requires some introspection too. Why do I do it, right? So what are some communication habits maybe that happen and that create hurt in a relationship? What would you say are some of the things that maybe we need to be aware of that we might be doing and may not even know that we're doing?
Yeah, no, I think that's so important to look at. And I'm wondering if even before we go there, that we go to the why. Because I love that part of this question where she's asking, why do we do this and how do we stop? Because I don't think we can really understand how to stop unless we understand why we're doing it in the first place. And that helps us kind of come back to that original question of why do we hurt the people that we love, right?
Yeah.
We can understand that there's not intentionality behind that, malintent. There's a reason why we show up in that way. And I think then we can understand how to stop it. So are you okay if we go there?
Yeah, for sure. So I love that. Why? Why do we do that? The first thing you said is it's not intentional, right? We're not doing this intentionally to hurt each other, but it's happening for some reason, right? What are the reasons that you would say we hurt each other? Why do we do this?
Yeah, well, I think to answer what happens in the present, we have to go back to the past. And we as humans, it's our human nature to survive, right? And we are wired for connection. And when we are babies, we're dependent upon other people for our survival. So our nervous systems start to learn really young, what do I need to do to survive and to connect with my caregiver? So if mom is really depressed, then as a little child, I might learn really young that I need to keep mom happy in order to keep her alive so that I can survive in this world.
Isn't that interesting? I don't think we even think through that. That, I'm a people pleaser. Why am I a people pleaser? Well, you might be a people pleaser because you had to do some pleasing techniques to keep your mom happy. And your mom being happy is actually what kept you alive and kept you safe. So it makes sense, right? When you go back to your history, it makes so much sense. So history is an important reason why we hurt each other unintentionally. What else?
Absolutely. Well, and I think we tuck that away into our subconscious, and then that comes out in our adult relationships.
Yeah, and we don't even realize it until we're often doing it and going, why? Why do I show up like this, right? I think sometimes there's also self-protection, right? We protect ourselves, and we don't even realize why we're doing it or why we're defensive, but it's a way to protect ourselves. Would you say that's one of the whys as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes back to that survival, right? So I learned how to protect myself, and sometimes those protections have more like a more benevolent appearance, like people pleasing.
Yeah.
But oftentimes they can be more malevolent, like the criticism or the sarcasm. In fact, let's just talk for a minute about maybe what some of those protections would be, just so our listeners can get an idea of how they might be protecting when they get into conflict with someone they love. So belittling somebody, name calling. This one I love it. It's when you say a